Warning, unpopular opinions inbound. Alright, guys, so the GTA 6 trailer, part 2, just came out, and I'm honestly going to say I was a little bit disappointed. I don't know, with the state of gaming, it just won't feel as influential or as big as GTA 5 was. I just have a feeling. I only clicked the video because it said GTA 6 in the title. If it didn't have that, it would have looked like any other generic action game, to be quite honest, so I didn't see any charismatic or interesting characters. It felt kind of bland and meh. Before I get into it further, though, let me start with the good stuff. First, the Miami vibe is kind of cool. It's Vice City, after all. I mean, who doesn't like beaches in the sun? And the graphics themselves look great, but also there is no actual gameplay, so there's only so much you could actually interpret game wise. Only cinematics. As far as the graphics go, though, I can already tell you that this game is going to require a pretty expensive rig to run at working settings on PC, like $2,000 to $3,000 rigs at minimum. Something the average person probably doesn't even have. So, speaking of PC, GTA historically never releases on PC at the same time as console. Anyways, it always comes out like 6 months to a year after the console release, so it can be optimized and ported correctly. So PC players, you're going to have to wait another year on top of the already long wait just to play this game. I'm not a game designer or a computer whiz by any metrics, so I'll take this for what it is, though. It is probably pretty tough to optimize a massive game like this, and to make it go from console to PC anyways, so yeah, but the graphics do look pretty good. So I also found the vibe pretty cool, specifically how it's Miami based in Vice City. I liked how it started off on the beach house. The 6 pack of cold beers in a little corner store was a nice touch. The Miami police pulling over some criminals and arresting them in a seedy part of town was also neat, as I know some parts of Miami can be pretty rough looking. So this added some realism. Okay, next, on to the bad. Alright, so there was this big emphasis on a love story. A fucking love story in Grand Theft Auto. GTA of all games. We see in the trailer, the main character drives his car to a prison, and the correctional officer at the gate lets him into the office. Then the officer at the office asks the main character if he's been there before, implying the main character has been to prison before. I can at least appreciate that aspect. It's subtle foreshadowing to the storyline. But what happens next is the stereotypical big booty Latina Instagram model comes walking out of the prison. The next scene is immediately the main character and the stereotypical big booty Latina getting into bed and getting dirty. The scenes following after is this girl in a tight dress with her ass showing nonstop. It's the horniest trailer I've ever seen in my life. There is just a lot of emphasis on her digital booty and other digital booties, and I found this odd. Call me a traditionalist or a conservative or whatever, but I think this is just a subtle adage to society having a bunch of young men being gooners and coomers. So much emphasis on digital booty. Weird dudes who never touch grass are going to be playing this game one-handed. I don't know, in and of itself, a woman's body isn't cringe, obviously, I'm a straight dude, but it's the digital aspect of it being pushed so hard in the trailer. I don't know, I just found it kind of odd. Especially in a video game where the series is about organized crime and chaos. Yes, I know GTA has had a sexual aspect to it in the past, but this seemed a little bit too forced. It doesn't seem like it's adding to the story. Really, what it seems like to me is a ploy to simply open up their market to more women playing the game. It makes sense from a business perspective anyways. You open up the market, you get more customers. But anyways, nope, let's reorient. We're going back to gooning, digital butt cheeks, sex scenes, and love stories in Grand Theft Auto. I did not like the aspect of the clubs and partying and skimpy dresses and girls wearing skimpy clothes stuff. Yes, I know it's freaking GTA, but this is just me. Maybe GTA is not the game for me anymore. But it just seems like stereotypical hustle culture stuff, which is popularized nowadays, and I made a video on that. But I recognize this is GTA, though. It appears to be more attracting more people to the game rather than sticking to its roots as a crime series. But again, that's just me. So come at me in the comments all you want. Like I said at the beginning of the videos, guys, unpopular opinions were abound. It seems more so like they want to expand the player base to women, as well as cringy boys who jerk off nonstop. But I think young men who play this may get into that a little bit too much and think it's cool to try and mimic GTA in real life. Again, though, that could just be me as a traditional kind of guy, and I'm getting older in my personality. If you enjoy the game for what it is, though, that's fine. And I've played a bunch of GTA. especially if you're an adult. But for kids, I am just hoping the societal impact doesn't lead young men into thinking that clubs and whores are cool and all that, and try to mimic Ryan Gosling from the movie Drive because he's Sigma Chad. It's already kind of like that, anyways. Open Instagram, and you're bound to see a picture eventually of some dude flexing his watch with the logo of a car in the background, telling you to go get that money or some shit like that, and some odd aesthetic pictures after, and some vague and cringe one liner caption. Then someone does all of that in GTA, and then they want to try and start trapping in real life. My man, you cannot hop off of the porch. You're 22 years old. But, anyways, let's face it, GTA is arguably the most popular and influential video game series in the world, with GTA 5 selling over 200 million copies as of November 2024 after a quick Google search. Try to imagine 200 million. That's almost the whole population of the United States. That's a shit ton of people. GTA 4 sold 28 million copies, which is still a lot, and GTA San Andreas sold 27.5 million. For frame of reference, the NBA 2K series typically sells around 10 to 20 million copies a year, and GTA 5 had 200 million, and it was released in 2013, more than a decade ago at this point, almost 12 years ago to be exact. Then you also have the people who created digital worlds within a digital world in GTA Online, creating entire role playing servers and lives within an online game, like police and gangster role playing. Rockstar really milked the cow with the online aspect of the game with shark cards and whatnot, and understandably so. They should have called them cow cards because they're milking the shit out of it. And it makes sense to do so, doesn't it? Can't blame them. I say all this though just to emphasize the point of how influential this game is. My next gripe with this, though, and going back to what I said earlier, is the love story part of the game. Okay, so one of them probably dies or betrays one another, I assume. I don't know. Anyways, a relationship being the driving part of the game where GTA is known as an over the top crime game series, I don't know. It just seems kind of odd. It could be good, it could be bad, but my immediate impulse is to think that this is cringe. As I said earlier, this just seems like a way to expand the player base to women, which makes sense from a business perspective, but it doesn't seem to be true to the core of the GTA series lore wise. I mean, you had Nico in this dark, gritty underworld, and you had Trevor and Franklin and Michael going around robbing banks. Then you had Carl and San Andreas who came with the gang warfare. So this relationship thing is a little bit odd. And hey, it may be good, and I hope it is. But hopefully I'm wrong about all of this. I really hope so. So let's just hope it's not some Hollywood beta male programming shit though, where if you treat the girl like an amazing princess queen and always text her back fast, then you'll get the girl. Buy her some roses and spoil her. What the heck? The prison girl, by the way, because that's a good idea. I bet you someone in real life will think that because the GTA girl was a prison girl and she was good, then it must be like that in real life too. Literally, like, half the trailer was just them two cuddling and in sex scenes. Let's hope this game is not a Paul Walker dating boyfriend simulator and living out a fantasy of having a way epic, sexy girlfriend. Again, this just goes back to where I am hoping young men don't get the wrong idea by this game and it doesn't influence them negatively. So, oh god, I'm getting old saying all this. I remember when it was common that people said video games cause people to be violent. Shit, maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. I'll look it up. Okay, and Google says that's not true. However, I am taking that with a grain of salt, to be quite honest. I just looked up do video games influence behavior, and there does seem to be a lot of college studies saying that they do in fact seem to be quite influential on teenagers and young adults. So I am just hoping GTA 6 doesn't make young men think that prison girls, being a simp, Paul Walker and Sigma Chad crime man, and clubs and killing is cool. My parents let me play GTA San Andreas at an awfully young age. I was playing that game in the fifth grade. I don't even remember what year it was, but I'm 27 now, so I was like 10 or 11 years old and I was playing that game. So I would never let my hypothetical kids play a game like that at such a young age. So yeah, sneak off to your buddy's house and play it, I guess. I would have probably done that myself. And I can't stop them from doing that, but not at my house at least, anyways. So I realize this is all projecting, and this is just my personal opinion, guys. I know. But yeah, ultimately, this is just a video game that hasn't even released yet at that, and it's just a 1 minute cinematic trailer, and it'll probably not affect my life at all, and I could just be looking too deep into it. I'm more so looking at how it will possibly define the younger generation and influence them, and I am probably just getting old and have different priorities nowadays, which is probably the major defining factor of my opinion is just some guy on the internet who makes YouTube videos on a game from 2009. But yeah, the game just looks kind of mid. To me, of course, just my opinion. MB4 hate in the comments. Maybe Rockstar peaked from GTA San Andreas to 4 to 5. I don't know, we'll see. But the trailer left a little bit to be desired, and it was weirdly emphasized heavily on the cuddling relationship stuff, and there was no actual gameplay, it appeared, either, which is quite disappointing. When we look up video games, we want to see gameplay, dang it, not cinematic animations of two horny people cuddling and having digital pixel sex. That is lame and cringe. I'm a lay epic gamer. Touch a woman in real life and touch grass. I do ultimately hold Rockstar in high respect, though, as they put out consistently high quality content. I'm not going to lie, they definitely do that for quite some time now, too. So I'm probably just being hypercritical and weird and harsh of a 1 minute trailer. I really do hope the game is pretty good, though. It has a mountain of hype, and to surpass its predecessor of GTA 5 will be quite the challenge. Let's wait and see. All right, folks, Jimmy Talks out.